Welcome to part 3 of 13 movies you didn't see this decade. You're watching part 3 of 3. You made it.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Also in today's show, Space Brain.
Hey everybody!
Hey, Space Brain.
Oh, Space Brain. I hate new characters.
I think Robot's getting a little peanut butter and jelly.
No.
No room in the end.
There used to be more screen time for me.
It used to just be me and Robot. Now it's me and Robot and Beans and Space Brain. Isn't that right, Beans?
Oh, Beans.
Beans.
I hate new characters.
Oh, Beans. There you go. There you go.
I promised to protect you if you promised to protect me.
Oh my god. Did he hurt anyone?
The boy has significant behavioral problems.
This monster thing has got to stop, alright? It's just a book. It can't hurt you.
The number 10 movie that you didn't see is The Babadook from 2014, all the way from Australia.
What is that?
Okay, so as I've stated earlier, I'm a big fan of horror. There have not been a lot of horror movies that I've been impressed with this decade, really, at all. Not very many.
So it's a horror movie. What's it
So
about?
it's a horror movie. It's about the horror of single motherhood. It's also very Jungian. It's also talking about like embracing the shadow and things like that.
What's a Jungian?
Carl Jung, he is a psychologist who is very influential. He came after Freud and kind of improved upon the things that Freud said, but he was a protege of him. Whatever. He's a whole other episode in and of himself. The Babadook is about a woman who's having a really hard time. She's a widow. She's got this horrible little kid who's just like a pain in the ass. They find this scary book about the Babadook and they read it, and then all these things start happening in their house, and it's super scary, and a woman directed it, and I really enjoyed it, and I want you to go see it. It's on Netflix right now. I don't have it on Blu-ray yet. I got a bunch of Blu-rays on my list. It's on there. It's gonna happen.
Does it have a scary monster?
Yes, there's totally a scary... The Babadook is the name of the monster, and they did some really great practical effects things, like little weird paper puppet things. Stop motion animation. They did some really amazing stop motion animation things in there that I really enjoyed. It was super creepy. It was super scary. Essie Davis, the woman who plays the mother, I mean, she just did a phenomenal job, like knocked it out of the park. That kid, whoa. I would probably end up being one of those moms on the news that like drowned their kid if that was my kid. Like, man, that guy sucked. But they figured it out. It's totally worth your time and attention, so definitely check out The Babadook, one of the best horror movies that's actually scary that I've seen in the past 5 years. Here is a bar graph comparing the worldwide box office gross of both The Babadook versus Grown Ups 2. As you can see, The Babadook did not do well, despite the fact that it's got a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. Just saying. Grown Ups 2, universally panned by critics, and yet somehow it made $250 million. What does this mean? What does this mean about movies today? What does this mean about you and me? Why do people not go to see good movies? I don't know. Laziness? Carelessness? Apathy? You tell me. You tell me, America.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes?
My name is David. Mrs. Peterson, I knew your son, Caleb. I was with him when he died. That's me.
You know Caleb?
Yes, ma'am. We're pretty close.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 11 movie that you did not see this decade, and I know that you haven't seen this movie because nobody I talked to has seen it. The Guest from 2014 is now on Netflix. That's where I recently discovered it. I can't tell you enough about this movie. It's so much fun. It's very Carpenter-esque, so if you're into the Carpenter movies from the 80s, this movie fits into there. I don't want to say that it's a horror movie because it's not. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but let me give you the premise. You have a family, their son was in the military, their son had died on campaign during the military. A guy shows up to their door, says, hey, I was friends with your son, we were in the same unit together, you know, he died, I was there. And so this family ends up taking in this drifter because they want to show goodwill, and they're like, oh, you're with my son, just stay with us for the night, you know, all this sort of good stuff. So he does, but he's not exactly who he says he is. So there's a lot more to this guest than meets the eye. But it is so much fun. There's really great action sequences in it. This is another one of those movies that has that 80s synth soundtrack that is just killing it for me. And this movie made like less than $1 million or something. I mean, it was like pitiful how much money it made in America. It makes me really sad. I don't know the story why it didn't get the marketing that it needed or the wide release that it should have gotten, because this movie is super solid, and I feel embarrassed that I missed it. I feel embarrassed that this slipped through my fingers somehow. And I want to go buy the soundtrack on vinyl. But let's make up for it right now. Watch it on Netflix, buy it on Blu-ray. It's totally worth buying. It's totally worth buying. So, check it out.
There is a natural order to this world, and those who try to upend it do not fare well.
Number 9 movie that you haven't seen is Cloud Atlas, all the way from 2012. And here to help me talk about Cloud Atlas all the way from Planet Zero, Space Brain in the house.
Hey folks, happy to be here. Yes, Cloud Atlas is a beautiful, beautiful film, and it is all about reincarnation, and it is a very unconventional narrative that will probably be pretty challenging for normal folks to watch if you have an IQ below 140, but I believe that you can do it. You can watch this and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's right, Space Brain. This movie is, fair warning, 3 hours long. It took us 3 days to watch it. And it has 6 separate storylines throughout spanning centuries. And then you also have a cast that plays characters in each of these different stories. And then they also have like crazy makeups and stuff going on, where you have an Asian lady who looks like a white lady back in the day, and you have like white people that look like Asian people. It's super crazy. You know, it's all about karma, as Space Brain pointed out. One thing that was really interesting about it is Tom Hanks' character. He does something very despicable in the eldest of the stories, and then he kind of, throughout his incarnations, makes up for that and ends up kind of in the future like he's completed his karma for that terrible action. So, but there's also characters in here who play like shitheads throughout each incarnation. Like Hugh Grant is always an asshole in every single deal. It's pretty hilarious. But yeah, I really enjoyed Cloud Atlas a whole lot. It's completely unique. I've never seen anything like it. If you're a cinephile and you're like, you have to see this. You have to see it because it's just like ridiculous that it even got made.
Yes, you should definitely go and check it out, just for the fact alone that it's amazing that in our modern cinema that this movie ever got made.
Yeah, it's completely 100% independently funded. It is the highest independently funded movie of all time. $110 million they got together from a lot of private investors. The Wachowskis even put in $7 million of their own money because they really wanted to get this made. It's based off of a book. In fact, Natalie Portman was reading it on V for Vendetta, and they were like, what's that book? And she's like, it's amazing. And then that's how this movie got made, because Natalie Portman was reading it in V for Vendetta. So, yeah, definitely, man, support this movie. It's super weird. Just try it. It's hard. Use subtitles. That really helps a lot. Subtitles are your friend with this one.
Yes, I was going to say, make sure you have the subtitles on, because there are scenes in this movie that go to the super future where the English language has transmutated into a new form.
Yeah, it's like that.
And it actually pushed my space brain to throb very hard watching it.
Yeah, one of the other things besides karma in this movie that I really enjoyed, one of the other themes, is slavery. In our modern world, we think, we don't have slavery anymore. That's a thing of the past. But that's a lie that we tell ourselves. And this movie shows slavery and what that is in each kind of generation and each time. Like, it never is not a thing. It's always going on in one form or another. Another actor I really enjoyed in this was Hugo Weaving. I'm always like down for Hugo Weaving, and he plays a villain in every incarnation. And at one point, he even plays a woman. He switches genders and becomes an evil head nurse, which is like really hilarious.
It's still not a perfect movie. There's probably still a better movie to be made about this subject matter. However, it's just amazing that it exists at all of that. So you have to give it a pass.
Yeah, I'm completely amazed that this movie even happened. It's totally ridiculous. I highly recommend it just for the spectacle of watching it. As Space Brain was saying, I also agree. I don't think that Jupiter Ascending was nearly as successful as this movie is, even though this movie isn't necessarily completely successful either. I do find it just the sheer audacity to try something like this, I have to respect.
Roger Ebert said that he had to watch this movie 3 times, and on the 3rd viewing, he gave up keeping track of what was going on and just sucked it all in. Absorbed it.
Absorbed it. That's gonna scare everybody away, but okay.
Well, it is scary.
Cloud Atlas is for the advanced people.
Highbrow, lowbrow.
Definitely highly recommend Cloud Atlas. Get ready, 3 hours.
This building isn't a house. It's a research facility. And I want to talk to you about what I'm researching. You want to see something cool? You are dead center of the greatest scientific event in the history of man.
Hello,
Hi. Do you have a name?
Ava.
The number 12 movie that you have not seen is a movie from this year, about 6 months ago, Ex Machina, one of the best movies of the year, 2015. I just really loved this movie, just like the first movie we talked about, Moon. This is also something that if you're a fan of Black Mirror, you might really enjoy this movie. It feels like a just really expensive, very awesomely directed Black Mirror episode, and I absolutely had the best time with it. This is a much better movie about artificial intelligence than, say, Avengers 2. So, yeah, there's a dangerous game of cat and mouse. Let me give you the setup a little bit. You have a guy who's kind of like a tech Stanley Kubrick genius man, okay? He owns this giant Google company. He's like Steve Jobs, yeah, but he's played by Oscar Isaac, who does an amazing job. And he brings a guy in from his company to do essentially a Turing test for him of an artificially intelligent robot that Oscar Isaac has built.
What's a Turing test?
The Turing test, if you didn't know, is named after Alan Turing, the father of the modern computer, and it is a test where if you speak with an AI, you don't see them, but if you can't tell that they're a computer and you think that they're a human, then they pass the Turing test. So that's the deal. Coincidentally, there was a movie about Alan Turing, The Imitation Game. It was an Oscar. I don't know if it won any Oscars, but it was nominated for some Oscars. Check it out if you want to know more about Turing. But back to Ex Machina, it is an amazing psychological thriller game of cat and mouse that is true sci-fi that I had the best time with. It was so stylish, it was so well directed. I can't wait to see more. Yeah, definitely go see that. You should punch yourself in the face for not seeing that in the theaters. I saw it in the theaters. Why weren't you there?
Yeah, but you missed Looper.
I did, you're right. I mean, you can't win them all.
So let's see that punch in the face.
I'm a shithead. In the worldwide box office gross arena, Ex Machina did a little bit better with 36 million. Still nowhere near Grown Ups 2 status though. Come on, guys. I don't live and die by the tomato meter necessarily, but anything that's generally in the 90s and above is gonna be a good movie. Like, you're gonna like it when you watch it. You're gonna go, that was a good movie, generally speaking. Although there's a couple on there that I disagree with, but it's very rare. It's very rare that something that's over 90%, I don't like it. But apparently everybody wants to see Grown Ups 2. More. Again, America, you blew it with Ex Machina. You blew it. You blew it, America. Bonus movie that you've never seen but probably should have from this decade. This is for our non-English speaking foreign category, Inherent, the robots.
Did you say something about robots?
Today, you அடிச்சு போடு.
I did, Robot. You might really like this film. It is another one of those, I think it's like 3 hours long or something. It is a really long one. It's Bollywood, so there's like 5 music videos within.
What's Bollywood?
You know, in India has their own Hollywood. It's called Bollywood.
They
so,
do?
Yeah. They make their own movies.
Anyway, what do the robots do?
Okay, so the premise of this movie is you have a doctor who's a robotics genius, and he makes a robot, an artificial intelligence robot that looks just like him, except is a little cooler looking and younger looking. Kind of like an Indian Terminator, but he's not like an asshole to begin with or anything. I mean, like, he just makes him because he wants to, like, make something that's new, but it goes through this robot's life of how, like, he's a baby and kind of learning how to do stuff, and then him, like, falling in love with the doctor's girl, and then him going evil, and then I'm sure you may have seen some clips of this on YouTube, but it's totally worth watching the whole thing. One of the most insane scenes from this movie that makes it the whole thing worth the price of admission is Chitty, that's his name.
Did you say Chitty?
Yeah.
His name is Chitty?
His name's Chitty.
Okay, continue.
And yeah, he goes and he talks to some mosquitoes in one scene. And that's not even the craziest scene. So there you go. This movie has one of the most elaborate, like, scenarios of how far a robot could, like, take craziness by creating himself, like creating an army of evil himself, and then they all like you know, like a flock of birds, you know, it's like they have a hive mind, so that like they all like can like roll into a giant ball like and turn into a cobra and like eat tanks and stuff. I don't know.
Do they fight the military?
They do. They end up fighting the military at one point. Also, fun fact, I noticed that on his belt buckle, the Triforce from Zelda is just, they totally swiped it and thought it was a cool symbol to put on his belt. So yeah, it's a Triforce belt, makes no sense, mechanical lions. This is definitely a great party movie if you want to blow your friends' minds. This is a good one. Again, like I said, it's like 3 hours long, so maybe it's better to put it on in the background or something, you know, and people just look over and be like, what the fuck is going on your TV screen right now? And you'll have a nice conversation piece for your party, so. I can't believe that they just straight up, like, they'll just stop a scene and put a music video in there. Like, they just have music videos where they dance. I mean, yeah, I want to have a Bollywood, like, dance sequence and something of mine at some point, so. And the main actor is supposed to be, like, the hottest, he's like the Tom Cruise of Bollywood, supposedly. That's what I hear.
Is that right?
For all my Indian fans out there, let me know, like, is the guy in Inherent, is that, like, the Tom Cruise of Bollywood? You let me know, because I don't know. I'm not out there. Inherent, the robot. Check it out. Thanks, Bollywood.
This chaos. 1,000 people in an iron box. 18 years I've hated the train. 18 years I've waited for this moment.
This is the world. The train saved humanity.
The engine lasts forever. The population must always be kept in balance.
I said sit down!
Bonus movie, Space Brain has got a movie that you haven't seen that he wants you to see. So take it away, Space Brain.
Well, I'd like to point out that Snowpiercer was a really good movie from last year, 2014, that not enough people saw. It is all about a crazy future scenario where the last remaining surviving people on Earth during an Arctic apocalypse are stuck on a train that circumvents the globe. And in the back of the train, you have the 99% of poor people who are
poor.
It is a microcosm look at our own socioeconomic political systems. You have the power elite at the head of the train, and the regular folks at the back of the train. And shenanigans ensue, and conspiracies are abound.
Yeah, there's Chris Evans is in it. It's directed by a South Korean director. This is a movie that if you are new to Asian cinema, I feel like this is a good starter for people who are new to Asian cinema because it's got a lot of American influences, so it may ease you in a little bit more to that weird Asian moviness that happens.
And the shame of this movie not making enough money is that because of a personal dispute with Harvey Weinstein, this movie did not get a wide theatrical release because Harvey Weinstein requested 20 minutes be cut from the movie and that intro monologues and outro monologues be added The director, and good for him, refused to make these changes. However, he was punished with a limited release in which not very many people saw it.
It's Tilda Swinton. She's good in it. It's not my favorite Tilda Swinton role, but anything Tilda's in.
And I really like Chris Evans. What do you think?
Chris Evans, I got a little bit of cognitive dissonance from Chris Evans because, he's Captain America, and then you see him in this movie and he's doing all sorts of like ultra-violent things and like things that Captain America would never do. So I don't know. I felt like he was miscast, even though I didn't feel like he was bad in the role. It just, my connection with him to Captain America made it hard for me to accept him as this other character.
Yeah, especially when you find out what Captain America really did in his past in the movie.
We'll save that one. We're not going to spoil anything, but Snowpiercer. It's an interesting one. Like I said, it's a great starter for Asian cinema. Thank you, Space Brain, for letting us know what your movie is. What about you, Robot? Do you have a favorite movie from this decade that nobody has seen?
I don't know about that, but I think Space Brain is stupid, and you should get rid of him.
Okay, well, besides that, any movies at all? Anything? You got... What? Oh, what?
Predator.
Okay, so stop. It's not Predator. Everyone's already seen Predator, okay? Never mind.
Predator should have made more money.
Never mind. Your brother Space Brain is getting gold star today. You're gonna get the dunce hat, sit in the corner later. So we added up the numbers of Snowpiercer and Grown Ups 2, and worldwide, actually, Snowpiercer did okay, but in America, it just did terrible. So we're just gonna, because you blew it, America. We're gonna focus on that. And obviously the domestic, we're going with domestic gross versus worldwide as before. And domestically speaking, Snowpiercer made dick compared to Grown Ups 2. You blew it. My scientific feedback. Didn't make dick. It seems like the better the movie, the worse it does in the box office. What is this? What's going on? What's wrong with humanity? What are we doing? Why are we giving our money to Adam Sandler? No. Why are people being so lazy with their entertainment and just going to see whatever the big slop fest is? Do some research. Go see a good movie. Do yourself a favor. I bet all the people that saw Grown Ups 2 saw that's the only movie they saw all year, and then they were like, man, that movie wasn't very good. I guess movies aren't very good. And then they just think that all movies aren't good, and then they just go see one shitty movie a year for confirmation bias. Way to go, America. You're still blowing it.
When you get 3 vampires in a flat, obviously there's going to be a lot of tension.
Viago was an 18th century dandy.
Look, a ghost cop. Vladislav is a bit of a pervert.
This is my torture chamber.
Deacon's like the young bad boy of the group. I'm supposed to pay rent, but I don't.
And the number 13 movie you missed from this decade, this year, 2015, What We Do in the Shadows. Oh my gosh, I loved this movie so much. It's another horror comedy. Let me give you the premise. You have these vampire roommates. They were all turned into vampires at different times during the centuries.
I'm tired of vampire movies. Too many vampire movies.
Honestly, I thought I was too. I was like, vampire movie. I'm so over that shit. But then I saw that Jermaine Clement is in it, and he's totally like my homeboy. I kind of have a crush on him. So I had to go and see it.
What was he in?
He's Flight of the Conchords, Jermaine, Flight of the Conchords. That's where you may have seen him. Also in Eagle and Shark. Gentlemen Broncos. He's also amazing in Gentlemen Broncos. But back to What We Do in the Shadows. It is a mockumentary film, horror comedy about these 4 vampire roommates in New Zealand and what their lives are like and all the mundane aspects of their life. And it's just so funny. I was laughing so hard throughout this whole movie. I was like, legitimately, it is a hilarious, funny movie. It's got some fun gore stuff in it, but you really go for the laughs. Especially that dry New Zealand comedy just really works for me. This movie tackles a lot of the troubles that vampires in our modern world would deal with, like how do you get the internet and a computer and having someone show you these sorts of things and Skyping for the first time and finding people on Facebook from 50 years ago and stuff like that. It's got a lot of really great mundane. That's my favorite part of it, I guess, is the mundane aspects of being a vampire and how ridiculous that would be. There's one scene in particular that I died laughing. It was so good. So they're all getting ready to go out on the weekend, all right? Because they like to go out, because they're they like to go out to the clubs and stuff like that, right? But because they're vampires, they cannot see themselves in the mirror. So what they do is one of them will try on their outfit for the night, and then the other one will like do a quick sketch of what he looks like and show it to him, so he knows if he looks cool or if he looks shitty and needs to change. That was just one of many weird little nuances in this movie that are just so good, so good. Such great observations on what it would be like to be a fucked up stupid vampire in New Zealand with roommates. I don't believe it's on Netflix, but I highly recommend it. You can get it on video on demand. I'm sure things like Hulu and Amazon, Vudu, somebody's got to have it. I don't have it, but somebody else does. Here we are with What We Do in the Shadows versus Grown Ups 2. As you can see, it was a little disappointing. You blew it, America.com. What's even more disappointing, when you add Transformers 4 to the mix, God, this is why I don't have babies, you know, this is just, I can't let a child into a world like this. I just feel bad about it. You blew it, America! When we first started this series, we had 13 movies, but somewhere along the way, we've stuffed in an extra 2. So here it is, the top 15 movies you haven't seen this decade. In chronological order, the movies you missed are number 1, Moon. Number 2, Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. Number 3, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Number 4, Inherent. Number 5, Drive. Number 6, Goon. Number 7, Dread. Number 8, Cabin in the Woods. Number 9, Looper. Number 10, Cloud Atlas. Number 11, Snowpiercer. Number 12, The Guest. Number 13, The Babadook. Number 14, Ex Machina. And number 15, What We Do in the Shadows. That's it for part 3. 3 of 3. You're done. You stay to the end of 13 original movies you haven't seen this decade. Thanks for sticking around, and be sure to like my channel. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, although I'm not always on Tumblr, and
Tinder. Are you on Tinder?
no, I'm not on Tinder. Get out of here. I can't be on Tinder.
Anyway, what? I'm on Tinder. Check it out.
Yeah, Robot's on Tinder.
Ladies.
You can find him in the LA area. Like I said, he will give you tetanus, so be careful. Careful. Be careful.
Sexy tinnitus.
Tinnitus, that's an ear thing.
Well, you'll get it, and you'll like it.
Oh gosh, you'll love that ringing in your ear. He'll give you a ring in your ear. This is a personal list. I know there are some movies that I wanted to talk about that I didn't even put on this list. If there's any movies out there that you loved in the past 5 years, let us know in the comments below. Some things that you feel like needs to get some extra lovin'.
Yeah, you left out a lot of movies that I like.
I left out movies that I like too.
Like Predator.
That
Where's
was not
Predator?
It's 5 year cutoff. All right, it's this decade, Robot. It's this decade. So keep it focused. Keep it focused. Even though one of them I kind of gave a pass. It's actually 2009, but shh. It's just too good. Break my own rules. Do not pirate these movies, okay? Like, they didn't get the support they deserve, and if you just pirate them, then they're still not gonna get the support they deserve.
You wouldn't steal a handbag. You wouldn't steal a car. You wouldn't steal a baby. You wouldn't shoot a policeman and then steal his helmet. You wouldn't go to the toilet in his helmet and then send it to the policeman's grieving widow and then steal it again. Downloading films is stealing. If you do it, you will face the consequences.
Man, these anti-piracy ads are getting really mean.
America, you blew it!